I can hear you
Yep.
perfect.
Okay, thank you. That's good, John. Okay. Let me start the broadcast. On Zoom, that is. And it appears we are functioning, up and running. Oops, something happened to the recording. Have to restart the recording here. Okay, resume recording. There we go. I think we're ready to begin. Welcome everyone to the Keshe Plasma Reactor Group for Tuesday, February 27th, 2018. Okay, once again we're gathered with their usual folks in live stream and in Zoom. And it's Keshe Plasma Reactor Group time. Who knows what will come up as topics as we go along. It's always a challenge to know what happens beforehand here, because we kind of wing it by spur of the moment. Piece together life one step at a time. And I was very busy today, so I haven't had time to prepare much. So that's when I say, gee, Lee Coates, do you have anything that you have to offer for today? To try to get our juices going here.
Picking on me again, eh?
Yeah, I always like to pick on you and try to take the pressure off myself to start with. But how is it? You got anything interesting happening in your life?
Oh yeah, but you got to enable my video so I can.
Oh, not enabled? Really? Oh, I know. It's in probably the master list here. Allow panelists to start video. There we go. That should enable it. Is that true? I can ask you to start your video. Maybe that's the way we have to do it. Yay or nay? Not hearing you there, Lee. I'm not sure what happened. Oops, Lee had to conk out. Well, he'll be back in a minute here, I'm sure. Nicholas, let me
Joseph, so I have some sleeve.
Yes, I see. He says something to show. Okay, well,
a little field effect.
Sure, let's have a look at what you have there while we wait for Mr. Coates to possibly return.
Okay, I've started the video. Can you see it? Yes. Okay.
Yes, it looks very clear. Thank you.
On the display you see my little star formation.
Yes.
And Magrav Unit. It was one of the first Magrav units without plasma batteries. I stopped to finish it, and it was laying over more than 1 year beside. And I made the star formation that creates the free plasma. And this Magrav unit, without the plasma batteries or capacitors, is connected to a very old nickel-cadmium battery with a massive memory effect. This battery is over 10 years, it wasn't loaded. And I wanted to destroy this battery because I wanted to get the nickel out of it. And I thought, why not? I connected together. I connected the magnetic out of the double coils with the minus of the battery and the gravitational in with the plus of the battery. And I, since 7 days, the voltage is getting higher and higher. Little a month. Its average is 10 millivolt per day.
Wow, that's interesting.
You have to know these double coils are not the right way, not the standard way. They are upside down. So the in and out is on the left side, and the gravitational coils are the current flows through in clockwise direction. And at the magnetical, it goes counterclockwise. It's maybe it's that why these coils are getting the free plasma. I don't know, and I don't know if this battery is only conditioning or if the battery is loaded with a current.
Yes, it's hard to say what might be going on there. Sometimes if you try to short a battery out, for example, it'll temporarily increase its voltage to sort of on an old battery like that. But it's interesting. Yeah, time will tell. You have to just continue monitoring it, I guess. It's been, what did you say, a week so far?
Yes, it's the 7th day today.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would be great if it would just continue charging like that.
Yes, and if I have, if this setup has ended in maybe 1 or 2 weeks monitoring, I have another lead battery that is very old, and I want to test it with the lead battery too.
Lead, we call it in this end of the world, but yes.
Okay, lead battery.
Yeah, yeah. And this one was a nickel cadmium, I think you said, right?
Yes, it is.
And you said was it around 10 millivolts a day?
Yes, around the 10 millivolts a day, and I have changed the RPM, the speed of the cores. The speed of the cores are at the moment, just a moment, I will measure it. Round about 3,500 RPM.
Mm-hmm. And what are in your cores?
The three down are plasma water of CH3, CO2 cetano, and CuO. And the upper core is plasma water mix that is alkaline. There are many things in there. But only with the three cores it worked as well. I've added the upper core on the second day. I don't know. I don't know it exactly. Yes, I had some experiments only with this Magrav unit without capacitors or plasma batteries with with a lead battery. With it's a bigger battery, I think, with 80 ampere hours, and there I had no effect, nearly no effect. And this is a little battery with 5 ampere hours and 4.8 volts if the battery would be new. And yes, but I have to test further. It's the first setup I made, and to get clear what is happening, I have to change some and go further. Yes, I have tried it with changing the RPM, and I've seen if the RPM gets lower, so around about 1500 RPM, the effect is slower, but is there. And then I changed it faster to 2500 RPM, and the effect, it needed nearly one whole day, but the effect went up again, slightly more. The voltage went up. It was exactly 60 millivolt in 6 days. Yes, that's all at the moment. I'm on there on this experiment, and if I have some news, I can show it again. Thank you.
Okay, I got a new wooden frame to mount my Magravs on. The old one I had made out of PCV pipes, and it was wobbly, and I had tie wire crossed and diagonals to keep it stable, and of course it was sagging and the pipes were bending and so on, and it was kind of big. So I got a new plywood one here that is easy to assemble. It's just a couple of cross pieces that go in on the top and bottom, and the two side frames here, they're glued together. So you got two side frames, and then you got the cross members that just slide into place. So
what kept those standing up on the bottom there when you take the cross pieces out at the top? You have some trick at the bottom.
There's another cross piece on the bottom.
Same kind of deal then, eh? Same exact piece, like you make it easy to put together.
That's right. And
okay, well that's real simple.
I left the one off I could put another one on the front there, but I left it off because it just so if you can walk in and out of it if you're.
And it's probably pretty stable the way it is, I guess. It's all sort of blocked up there on top.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that makes it very easy to transport in a car and that kind of thing.
Yep. That's the idea. You can take it apart and take it with you. And then if I want to mount something halfway up or something, I got you can put any size platform you want on that.
What the heck is it? Wait a minute. What do you got there? Does that stay on? It doesn't come off the pole unless you take. Oh, no, it does come off.
It's sort of boxed in with the. If I unscrew the top platform here, the thing will come off. But
I see.
A three-sided box here, and and once I set the height, I'll just put a screw into the post. So that's these wooden posts. Nice because I can put this up and down wherever I want. So say if I'm going to make one of those health units that Dr. Rodrigo had with the dynamic ball spinning part way up, I can just set the platform, and I can, of course, make the top of this platform however I want, whatever size I want, hold whatever I want. Or if I want to say put 3 Magravs, like for that Octahedron, I could put a plywood sort of circle in here and have my plywood sit on the plywood circle over here and there, 120 degrees apart. So these, and then of course you can put as many of these things as you want in here. You could have 2 or 3 layers if you wanted. So I'm gonna get rid of that PVC pipe frame one and mount everything on the wooden frame now.
Very interesting. What's that in the background there? Was that a previous, you have some cutouts, scalloped cutouts there, rounded and so on. Is that part of this apparatus or a previous one? Oh, that's your roller mechanism.
That's the one with the ping pong balls that I haven't ganced up yet.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That don't want to slide around for some reason. Usually they slide real good. Anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway,
okay.
that can.
It's
easy to put some on the top of this. You could put like a piece going up with an arch, sort of, just slide over these things, and then that could support something like this up top. Because on this other unit, I've got the Magrav on my bedroom floor upstairs, and I got some kind of a free plasma in the middle there, so I got like a four-sided pyramid type formation there with some free plasma in it. So I was thinking I might mount the ping pong ball thing up there to in there around there, see what I can do. But I haven't figured out what I'm going to do for Ganson those ping pong balls. That's what's been holding that one up. So.
Okay, very interesting. So
that's all I got for you today.
So probably by next week you'll have a Magrav or two hooked up to it and start putting some volunteers through.
Yeah, I'll just reassemble the health device again.
Right. Yeah.
But that's for starters anyway. So.
Yeah, nice. All right, thank you, Lee.
You're welcome.
Okay. What else do we have for show and tell here today, ladies and gentlemen? I don't see any ladies here today, actually. Let's check my live stream. My voice was missing. Okay, it's okay now. Okay, what do we got? Anything else to show and tell? Any topics that someone would like to discuss? Someone mentioned about using buck converters from eBay and so on. That's from Space Dream. And Joseph mentions the voltage with 2.377 volts is a bit low for the Shenlins, but maybe I have a DC left to use. I will see, thanks. So he's just talking about increasing the voltage there with a converter in order to be able to run the reactors. Probably don't have much juice left in that battery though, with the low voltage and so on. Some of those batteries don't perform too well in the lower ranges, but who knows, might be able to all run on itself and charge itself at the same time. Wouldn't that be interesting? That's one of the objectives we're actually looking for in this technology. Okay, what else do we have? Mr. Chen, did you have something you wanted to bring up or present today?
Yes, I have something to show.
Okay.
I have some question before.
Okay, great.
Yeah, can I share screen?
Yeah. You should be able to there now, I think. Yep.
Right.
Okay, we see your whiteboard or program.
Yeah, before this one, I have something to show before. This one, I make a 5 cube.
5.
Put with the GANs. One half with GAN, and I reduce and I reduce like this one. And this on the upside, I put the water, distilled water.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Yeah.
I check it. I put them all after 1 day. After Mr. Keshe say, every water plasma in the bottle is the same. Same energy. Is right?
No, he didn't really say that.
You don't say that? Yeah.
He
Because
says the distance over the GANs makes a difference because that's why he says to take the top 10% of the water, not
I put
all of
again
it.
after checking. I put 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I put on the they come down here at the red one. So put the water of plasma on the top.
Mm-hmm.
He have the same energy. I say they have the same energy.
I see what you're saying. Okay, but how far does that go if you have another one on the right side here and it only has a few grains of CO2, is that going to have the same strength? I don't think so. But,
I don't think so.
But maybe it does. This is the big question in a way.
Like Mr. Sendor say, if you check before and you put 24 hours, the water after check have the same power. If you don't only pour the water on the tube, maybe upside they have the power. But I check it. I have done it. It has the same power.
That's what you feel. It has the same power.
No, I make a patch for my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I take this one,
mm-hmm.
and I take this one. You say
right.
It's in 1 day the pen is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see the reaction of because I put them on the under the sun. Every time when I put the new water on the bottle, I put on the sun because the sun get more energy, and they put the energy to the water. Is right?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think Mr. Keshe. I don't think Mr. Keshe would do it that way, but it might be
no,
true.
I say, if you have more GANs or less GANs, but the liquid plasma is the same thing. Because this is is transmit the power on the water. Not we don't need the GAN in the water. Try it and you can you answer.
I think we need to have a certain minimum amount of GANs in order to structure the water. So it might be that
we don't need a half. We don't need a third. We not need a 1/8, 1/8, 1/10. Enough. Or 1/20.
Yeah, I wouldn't tend to use the last one. I wouldn't think that that's enough. I would think that the one before, that one I would trust. The other one I wouldn't. And the other two.
Try with this one because I have done with this one. It's okay because I.
Yeah, but you might be able to use plain water and have the paint patch work too, though.
Because I check it before. I check it, and I put on the light under the sun.
Yeah, well, I don't know about the under the sun thing. Let's leave that out of the equation for now and just think about it in terms of, what would be the minimum amount of GANs that one would need in a certain volume of water. Like the medical people have talked about it as far as filling a bathtub, for example. How much of the GANs water do you put in a bathtub in order to make it effective? You can't just put a thimbleful in and expect the thimbleful of plasma water and expect it to work in a swimming pool, for example, with 30,000 gallons of water in it. It probably will not be effective. But on the other hand, it has been mentioned that even a few drops of GANs in the ocean is going to make a difference. But it's not going to convert, all the ocean water to suddenly make GANs water. That's not going to happen.
Yes. You see, Rick, what I want to say to you, if I put a half of GANs, I can make about 5 or 6 to 10 bottles with this one. If I make with this one, I have only about 2 units of water. If I put this GAN for 8 bottles like this one, I have more plasma liquid.
Not really, because you're only supposed to take the top 10% off anyway. It doesn't matter whether you take 10% off of one, like this. Say you take this amount here, or you take this amount here. It's the same.
It's the same. Yes.
Because you still don't want to use this, and you don't want to use this or this. So you have a lot more that you don't use in yours actually.
Yeah.
In this one with less GANs in it.
Yeah. If I like this one, I have something to. For the first one, I can take about 1 unit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a quarter of the liquid plasma, free liquid plasma. In this one, I can take more. I take a quarter.
Well.
And in this one, I take a quarter. You see? And in this one, I take a quarter. But Mr. Keshe say we can take a half of this one.
Well, it depends. I've heard he said 10% before as well.
Yeah, before he's 10%, but after I hear someone or Sandor say we can take a half after 24 hours.
Well, that's not what I've heard before. I don't remember I don't remember that ever being said. Can you have a reference to that? Has Shandor said that? For sure?
Yeah, he say after 24 hours he can take before he take a surge, after few the last one he say he take 50% of the liquid plasma. But if he take a surge, we have something like this one, a surge. He is a surge. And this is a surge, you see, and more, because if we do like this one, we can multiply the quantity of plasma liquid to use. And with this one, I can take the surge I have like this one.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that way of doing it. The way I understand is we take the top 10% of the liquid in the container, not necessarily the liquid above the GANs.
Yeah, so, but liquid above the GAN to the top, you take 10%. All right?
Well, you could look at it that way, yeah. So it depends on the container, it depends on how much you have and so on. But the basic idea is, to take 10%. So yes, if you have less GANs, then you're going to have more water. But there's a certain minimum amount of GANs to have, otherwise it's not going to be effective, right? And that's all you really need is that minimum amount. Anything more than that is too much. So you're using too much GANs in these examples. So there is an optimum, of course, if you're into production and so on. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. After this one, I have something else. Can you get out the...
Yeah, let me clear. There we go.
Thank. This one, no. You see, on the bottle, I put the gas with the water. Is this one a little bit? After 1 hour, the gas drop down, and after 2 hours, the drop down, and after half day, he drop to this one, and after 1 day, he like this one. You see?
Mm-hmm.
This become plasma liquid, but the quantity of plasma until here still have. The first time. Okay, I make. Yes. The first one, I just mix it. The plasma is all the bottle. We cannot take liquid plasma because they have against like 100%. After 1 hour, the liquid plasma drop down, and we begin to have like this one. You see? This here the gas diminuted, but until here we have too much gas in the water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And after 1 hour, it can the gas no, not this way. You see, like this one.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And after this drop down, and I make the like this one, and after like this one, and we have this one until here. Yeah, until here, and more, so they become deeper. After a time, they come the gas from deposit downward and downward, like this one. You see?
Mm-hmm.
This one we have clean water, plasma water with a little bit against. After this one, we here have no gas. A little bit, you see, and with the time, there is the curve become downward. To this time, about 3 hours, this space have still have no gas anymore. After 5 hours, 20 hours, and 24 hours, but after 24 hours, this part we can take only a half to be sure have no gas. Is right?
I don't think it's half. I've never heard half before.
Does
anybody else? Can anybody else?
Because the level of the gas, what our eyes can see, it comes to here.
But that's what our eyes can see. Just because it looks transparent does not mean that there's not GANs in it.
Yeah.
Because
but
that's
here, the gas is about not so much, but under this level, the gas become hard, more and more.
Yeah, transparent, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. But this one, I try to visualize the quantity of gas on the plasma liquid with time.
Right. Yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's interesting.
And
that would be a different chart for each nanomaterial as well. It'd be different for the copper than for the CH3 and for the CO2. It would be interesting to come up with a chart like that of the actual response. Makes a difference how clear the water is too. If it's salt water, it takes longer to settle out than the fresh water.
Yeah. And one thing I am thinking, but I don't know if it can be, because if you put this to make a GANs or the nano, you can put the NaOH on the salt. Like you have a metal, you have a salt, you put the NaOH on with the salt, and the salt become nano or GANs. Like seawater. If you put the NaOH on the seawater, all elements of the metal on the seawater become GANs.
Yes, right? That's right. That's why Mr. Keshe doesn't recommend it. Exactly.
Yeah. If I take one salt, one kind of salt, I mix on the water and I put NaOH, it becomes GANs of the salt of this metal. Like I take one example. I take a sulfur of iron. I mix on the water and I put NaOH. After I have a gas of sulfur of iron. You right?
I don't know.
Yes. If I can make a salt with the NaOH, is the easier way to make a gas, because every salt of the metal we can buy on the directly with the product on the production, and we add only NaOH to have a gas.
No, but you end up with other elements in there. You're talking about a sulfur, some kind of like I don't know, magnesium sulfate or something like that, or maybe that's not a good example. Some other
sulfur. Some metals, salt of metal or metal salt.
Salt of metal, not a sulfur, but a salt.
Salt.
So
yeah.
Will that be a? What kind of salt would it be, though? That's the thing.
Yeah.
So, because the other elements have...
Salt, we can do it the same way.
No, because some salts have toxic elements in them that if you break it down with the sodium hydroxide, it could end up causing other combinations that you don't want in your GANs. Like, what salt in particular are you talking about? It won't be sodium chloride. You're talking about something else, like magnesium chloride, for example. But if you put magnesium chloride and you mix in the NaOH, where are the elements going to go? The same as with the sodium chloride. Where does the chlorine go? When you mix NaOH with sodium chloride, which is ordinary salt, where does the chlorine end up, I wonder?
But in this way, because if you put copper in with the you make a nano coating with the coal NaOH, you can make a salt with the coal NaOH. You put a little bit NaOH and you put on the pressure with the temperature. You don't have a reaction, but you transfer the metal salt into the gas.
Well, if you want to have sodium or magnesium or some other metal in with your GANs, I suppose that might be useful. Generally, we wouldn't want to do that because that means it's got some other metal in with the GANs. And why would you want to do that? You'd have to have a specific reason to do that, right?
But this is my ideas. I don't know what happened, but...
Well, that's exactly it. Why would we want to do something if we don't know what could happen with
that? Because I want to make a gas or a nano of the material in the easier way only.
Well, there's a recommended way and there's this way that you're talking about, and it doesn't make it an easier way just because you add some sodium hydroxide to it or whatever. That's not the way it works. The more elements you add into the situation, the more uncontrolled things you have going on, and it's hard enough to control it the way it is. I don't see how it would make it easier to have more elements in there to try to control.
Yeah, because you see, the metal in the seawater is a salt too, not a metal. He is in the something, the salt of metal, not on a metal. You put NaOH, they transfer into gas.
Yes, but we don't want to transfer those metals into GANs. Why would you want to have heavy metals in your GANs? This is my question.
Because you see, if you make a Magrav, you have a gas of the heavy metal. It's very good.
Well, possibly, if you know how to control that. But what I'm saying is if you use seawater, you've got every metal, every material, every bacteria, every virus, just about everything in the world is in seawater. And then when you throw caustic into it, you make a GANs of everything in the world. Do you want everything in the world in your reactor, or do you want a controlled something in the reactor? So is that what you're saying as far as a particular salt, like... I don't know, some kind of...
like bismuth or something.
Like what?
Bismuth.
Bismuth salt, you know.
Yeah. Or something, some special.
Right, well that might be possible.
It's only my ideas only. I don't know, but because if we can do like this one, we can make a Magrav easily, because we take a heavy metal, we make for the GAN for heavy metal, and we put on the Magrav. It's very good.
Possibly, yeah, that is a possible technique.
Yeah. What I think. And on the Magrav, I have thinking about one more thing. You see, on the Magrav, the first stage you have 2 core. Second stage you have 2 core, and third stage you have 2 core. Why we don't put the 3 core? Because 2 is the number is not very good. If we put 3, because the 1 core we have 3 elements in the 1 core, and on the 1 state we put 3 core, it's become better. I think so. The first thing.
Well, better than what? What are you trying to do with your cores to start with? There's just different techniques. There's different types of reactors.
No,
and so on.
The same technique. Because if you put 2 core in 1 minute.
Well, that's why Mr. Keshe has 3 core reactors, or 4 core if you can.
3 core, because on 1 state we have 3 states with 2 core. Now we can make the three state, 3 level with 3 core, because the number 3 is better.
Yes, it just makes it more complicated though with the cores.
Yeah, not more complicated.
Well, it is if you try to rotate them. It certainly is.
Yeah.
If you don't have to rotate them or have them on shafts and seals and so on, especially if you're using gases, for example, then you have to have a triple seal system. It's very difficult to seal against a vacuum and put in the correct gases and have it all rotate properly and not burn out bearings and not burn out seals and not leak, and all of that is it's very difficult. But if you're talking about just putting a couple of balls of GANs into a reactor and spinning them, then yes, it can be easier to put 3 in than 2.
And one more question. You see the ping pong on the middle of the on one state. Can we make this ping pong turn to act as to make a field?
What do you the ping pong ball in the middle of the you're talking about the middle of the coils on the Magrav? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I'm on the Magrav.
Okay, right.
Why
and
we can
we
put the
make
ping
it spin?
pong turning in the middle?
And make it spin, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, some people have done that. That's true. But the idea is that we're supposed to be able to get that to spin without requiring, it should be able to spin without needing mechanical spinning, shafts and that kind of thing. It should be done from the fields rather than from the matter level turning of stuff is the idea. Because we got the coils. Go ahead.
If we make the ball a round ball, why we don't put the bottle, a cylinder bottle, and we put each on the top to other. We put 3 cylinder bottle, each on the other.
I'm not sure what you're saying there. I think we need a diagram to get through that one. Do you want to do a quick diagram, what you mean?
Yeah, 1 minute. You see, if you take 3 balls, each to other, it's more difficult if you put, this is a bottle, cylinder bottle. You make this 3 like on the top here, he have a cap. This cap is fixed to this bottle, and this cap is fixed to the other. And
okay, yeah, I've seen bottles like that. Yeah, they screw together.
Yeah, screw together.
Yeah, yeah.
And we put the motor here to let them turn in the same time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And after in this way, okay. See? And before I have said, and
so that's the cross section of the coils you're talking about there, right?
Yeah, yeah. I will 3 core and this one third.
Right.
Because if we have 2, it's not a good number. If we have 3, it's better. It's alright.
Well, I don't know.
If I have 2, I try. If you put 3, I think you don't need these 2. You take only one stage only is enough. Because if you like this one you can put the motor here directly.
I don't know.
But do one and you have a answer.
Right. Well, if somebody has time to do that, they can do that. Yep.
Yeah. If the Magrav you can put only on one unit like this one, is very useful. It's easier to pick up anywhere.
Okay. Well, interesting idea.
Yeah. And one more thing. One more thing is this one. You see, this is the number of the spiral on one core. Anytime the first to the end, we have like a number is divided by 9, like 18, 45, 144, like this one. The number of the spiral. And the number of spiral is a multiple of the 3. Because 9 is 3 multiplied for 3. And if you take 3 by 3, we imagine on the peak of the resonance is on the 3. Because 1, 2, 3. This is on the pitch of the maximum, and this is on the pitch of maximum. If the spiral you have only you missing a half, or missing 1. If you missing half, you can accept. But if you missing 1, the energy is missing about half of energy. Right? If you missing 1.5, you missing 2 times of energy. This is very important for the Magrav anything. Because we take a unit for 3 spiral, because we take a number of the multiple of 9, but the unit of the pitch of the what is resonance is 3. It take maximum on 3, and if you put if the spiral missing, because sometimes when you make the spiral you count is 144, but after you take out, it only have 143 or 42 and half, because the spiral get back a little bit. Is right? And the missing of the spiral makes a missing of the energy.
I don't know if it has to be that close of a connection.
You have to because too much people when they make the Magrav, they cannot they have no energy, because the resonance on the of the plasma on the spiral is leaking. It's on the minimum. He missing few spiral, maybe.
Possibly. I'm not convinced that the plasma needs to be in that kind of resonance with the coils in necessarily.
No. It's
Mr. Keshe has
all
talked.
resonance.
Well, Mr. Keshe has never designated that the coils have to be exact and that you could use different numbers and so on as well.
But what I know about resonance of the coil.
Well, it's true in electrical theory and so on. Yes, if the coil is longer, it could go out of resonance and so on.
But any coil Mr. Keshe do on the Magrav is a multiple of 9 or 144 or 153 or 162.
Yes, right. So, but
because we have to know the resonance of the plasma is the same thing, and it's not the same thing. But until now, we cannot calculate because we are not on the level to calculate that.
Can I say something, please?
Yes, please come in.
Good evening and good morning.
Hi,
Here's Jalal. Please don't limit it yourself. Plasma have no limit. So in every teaching and every learning you learn, don't limit it yourself in one way. Mr. Cash, and I know in the private teaching, if you go to the private teaching and listen carefully, he don't make it 81 to 162. He don't make it 9 to ratio 27, 1 to 3, 1 to 4. Don't limit it always. Don't limit it yourself in a way, in a box, because plasma is everywhere, and how you condition it behave.
The proportions don't matter, that the lengths of the wire don't matter and all that.
Yes, because he said also you can do that from the root of plants. So how you can fix the root of plants in the way you actually done it with the copper wire. It is only the understanding, the knowledge, your attention. Do your attention do have a what you call it 100% strength? You have 1.5554432 Tesla? No. It's always different energies. It's always different emotions, and always different conditions. But in totality, you need to understand the totality. In totality, it appears for you, it is resident in one frequency on, or one vibration on, or one in power field in totality. But as an individual, I don't think you need to restrict yourself. Thank you.
One thing on the throw, Mr. Keshe to get out, he have a number. He doesn't say that whatever you want. The number of the spiral on the coin, he have make a number on each throw. Because we are scientists, we have to respect the number.
Yes, but the number might be an arbitrary number is the thing. Is whether it's correct or not is hard to say. The people that put together things for Mr. Keshe often have their own ideas on the way things should be, and that they push through those ideas. It may not be the actual thing. As Mr. Keshe says, the plasma doesn't have a vibration or resonance as such. There is no resonance, he says. So.
And one thing else, Rick, in the nano coating, Mr. Chen, how many layers you have? Can you tell me, please?
I don't know, but the grant I get, I give to other. They are very satisfied.
Yeah, I know. But because you are speaking about numbers, I know your knowledge. I am very respectful for your knowledge. I'm not speaking about that. But if you are speaking about numbers, you must stick to the numbers. Okay. In your nano coating layers,
yeah,
how many thousands and numbers of layers you have?
I don't need how layer I have.
Okay,
But
wait.
I need is the power of the field of plasma.
Okay.
Is stable.
Okay. Why here in this place you don't need how many layers, and there in your spiral you need an perfect number of spiral. It's the same thing. It's the same system, Mr. Chen. So it's no difference.
If you think like this one, you do like this your way. But I'm engineering. In engineering, we have to respect a number, because a number, like you play music. If you cannot put on the good number of the frequency, you cannot play music.
Yes, I am 100% with you. I am 100% with you. But I'm saying, don't limit it your capacity in one position. That's all. You need to be more free, because the condition dictates from you how you behave. The condition push you to use not 81 spiral to turn off. I'm sorry, copper wire. You need to 9, or you need 7, or you need 8, or you need 2, or you need 1, like a loop. So what you will do? You will not do it. You will do it. What I mean, don't restrict yourself in one position. That's all.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, but we're trying to limit, other than the entire universe, we're limiting it to a Magrav unit, which is a standard coil system. And that's what Mr. Chen was talking about, and whether we should add another coil to that or have a rotating Magrav in the middle. Not to argue whether it should be 2 coils or 200 coils or whatever, because then it gets into a different series of things. For example, what is the lower limit then? If you're just experimenting with yourself, could you have 1 coil and 10,000 coils or something like that, in terms of, you know, the variations? How do we determine what's okay? We have a certain range that we've been dealing with, and so we can change certain variables on that and look at the results. But when we make a Magrav, when we make a new Magrav, if we go off on our own tangent and kind of go, well, it feels like it should be 7 instead of 9 or whatever reasoning, then we have to go through the process of making that entire Magrav and then still changing all the other variables, whether it should be 3 coils or 2, or rotating ping pong ball in the middle or not, and so on. And then we can't compare with anybody else because we built a different Magrav to start with, so all the results are going to be different. So you'll be totally on your own as far as trying to relate it, which is great because you might have a major revelation. But it might take a couple of years to get there, is the problem of constantly trying something that might be totally out of line. Because a lot of us get off on our own tangents, and then we're we're stuck in a way. So it's good to be open, but we still have certain guidelines too. That's kind of where the rub is in a way, because the Keshe Foundation is trying to standardize things, and we're trying to make the workshop teachers have a standard way of doing things and standard techniques and so on. And at the same time, as like Jalal says, when you're actually doing it, you're like confronted, well, it really feels like it should be this way and not that way. The wiring, it should be turning this way, not that way, and so on. And sometimes our intuition is a better guide than the book, let's say, in that sense. I guess the secret is to know when to go with the intuition and when to go with the standardized sort of book model, or what everybody else is going with.
You know, Rick, I always see the Magrav as a human being.
Yeah, you showed a great picture of that in the last workshop, in fact.
This is the teaching of Mr. Keshe in private teaching. I didn't bring something from me, but I always see the Magrav as a human being, and you will not have in this 7 billion human being two identical. There is a tall, there is a short, there is a fat.
Well, yes, but they do generally have 2 legs and not 14, and that kind of thing. Yeah. That's what I mean by having a standardized number of coils on the Magrav. Yes. Like, yes, they can have 1,000 coils, but we generally don't.
This is in totality. That's what I explained to Mr. Chen.
Yep, it's always
one thing, Jala. If you want a totality, but you have a perfect totality, it's better, I think.
You have a what totality?
Perfect totality.
Perfect totality.
Perfect totality is better.
But what's perfect? Totality. What do you mean by perfect?
Yeah, you have to perfect yourself. Day by day, you perfect yourself. You accept yourself. You cannot increase yourself. You have to step by step to be perfect and perfect. I'm right? If you want to perfect, you have to learn.
No one can say.
To open your knowledge more.
Sorry.
You have to hear the other, and you accept the other, because everybody have his knowledge. We are sharing our knowledge, and we are making each other to raise your soul day by day. Not I know only this one is enough. Nothing is enough. You have to look more to be perfect, to be higher and higher. I hope one day you know what I say, because the man is I say enough. Everything is totality, but totality is perfect. You have to your totality become perfect and more perfect.
I cannot say you are wrong, and I will not say you are wrong.
I don't say you are wrong too, but I hope you one day you have to improve yourself and don't accept everything you have learned. You have to improve and hear the other and to elevate yourself. No, you know, if you want to elevate yourself, you haven't have a reaction. I never have a reaction. I accept everybody. You see, the first day I hear the teaching of Mr. Keshe, I know this is very important, because this is he can complete my knowledge. Really, he complete my knowledge, because before Mr. Keshe I have learned too much things, but I cannot explain everything. But when I have learned from Mr. Keshe, I see I can. What I want to say is I can complete the gap on my mind. On my mind, I have too much gap, too much hole. but I cannot explain. After I learn from Mr. Keshe, I see this is very important. I learn why I learn, because I want to complete my knowledge. Only why I always say to Mr. Keshe, I always thank him because he opened for the humanity something very, very important.
We all feel that, Mr. Chan. You're certainly not the only one in that boat as far as that goes. And I know Jalel feels that as well, so there's no argument or no problem there. I don't think we have any argument anyways. Okay, what else do we want to bring up about this? Space Dream says, maybe you mean better and better, Mr. Chin, because perfect in term means completed, nothing to make better.
Yes, I am. I know. I explain is not on the good word, but what I thinking is to improve everybody, because I receive the knowledge from everybody, and I share my knowledge for everybody only. There's something like before I haven't know about plasma. I don't know. I haven't hear. I haven't learned. I cannot say plasma is not good. When I have looked at it, I recognize the plasma is very good. There's something you haven't learned. You can say you haven't learned it's not good. No, learn it, and you can compare, and you see what is good or no. You haven't learned, you cannot say the other. Like this morning, Mario say about music. He learned about music. You don't know about music. You complain him. He say something wrong. No, he know very well about music. He wants to share his knowledge. He wants to increase every soul with the music. You see, you have to accept him, because if he can make a music to increase the soul of everybody, is that good or no? But this morning I have said, I know one guy, he play on the what? Discotheque. He say he if he raise a rhythm of the music, the beat of the heart, everybody become faster and faster, and they become crazy. If you know the music can raise the beat of the heart, you can also make the heart become slower and slower. You see, the music influence to everybody. It's influenced directly, because your ear is directly on your brain. If someone talk kindly, you can feel the kindness of the people. As someone is angry, you feel the angry of the people on his voice, because everybody can feel by hearing, by seeing, and on your skin you can receive the plasma of the other. You cannot, you don't see the animal, but you feel the animal is attacking you on the far. Why? Because your plasma of the animal, you feel it. because you the first time Mr. Keshe say your soul is plasma. Oh, it's opened my mind. It opened my eyes. Before you know, I cannot imagine the plasma. The soul is a plasma. And after this one, I know, how can I learn a plasma in 6 months? It's too short. Rick know me. 6 or 7 months only. But I have found too much things. How can I find it? Because I connect with the spirit of the universe. Really, I am not the doctor. I found the 6th element. My teacher showed me only this element is the 6th element. I come and on 6 months I learn and I teach for Vietnamese people. How can I learn this one? I don't know about medicine. I don't know about agriculture. I learn on 6 months and teach. And after my students say, you are so clever. I show you something to learn. Go learn from Mr. Keshe. And they come. You know? Why I can learn so fast? I don't need to enter in the private. I only learn with Mr. Rick. Thank you, Mr. Rick. I have learned from you too much. Yeah. Because I received too much from you and from Mr. Keshe. Now I share my knowledge for everybody. Why I raise too fast? I have my way. The first thing I say for everybody, try to wish you go on the right path. The first thing, if you go on the right path give you on the right way. Only wish it every day night. You can reach your ability at once. What I have done. I don't like to teach you what I can receive. I want you receive yourself. Everybody is my hope, is my wish for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tim. Any more comments or questions about that? Steven says, and I learned from all of you too, you included, Mr. Chen. That's from the live stream. Okay, what other topics do we have to discuss here? Anybody have anything that they would like to bring up? I'm just checking questions here. I'm not seeing anything particular on the live stream.
Rick, can you hear me?
Yes, hello. Hi, Nicholas.
I have something I'd like to present.
Okay.
This is new to me, so at least this group. And several questions that I have. One of them has to do with what we call reactors, and not to go into the definition of that term because I realize that it could be pretty broad. But I was working, I'm interested in working with reactors without a power unit added to it or something to spin it. And going along with a investigative premise that by putting GANs water and GANs in different configurations with each other, one can generate a field, plasma field. I'm not sure my terms are right here. And, this goes with, I guess, what I'm beginning to show. And I have just a passion I can't stay away from with the platonic solids and geometric solids in those configurations, and the points, the vertices of these have a configuration with each other. The basic one, of course, is the tetrahedron, which generates our pyramid formation. So what I am going to show, and interesting having a feedback here, is gridding. Again, I'm not sure that that's the right word. My room in my house, is this okay, or is this too lengthy? Oops, I can't hear you.
Not showing any copyrighted pictures or anything, just your own video or your own screen share or something? What do you want to show?
Oh yeah, just my own.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, the room that I am working with in this case is a adobe, which is just clay. The walls are about 2 feet thick. They're about 8 feet high. It's 20 feet long, or about 6 meters long, and 11 and a half feet wide, or 3.5 meters wide. And so I have placed these little...
Sorry, did you have something you wanted to show, or a video or something?
I do. I was just going to describe...
Just preamble. Okay, I thought you were trying to show that now.
Things in the
first of the 4
corners of the room, about halfway up. So that'd be about halfway up in each of the corners, and then one in the center, in the absolute center, as high as I can get it in the ceiling. So it's not getting a pyramid formation per se, but at least I'm getting the 4. So let's see, let's begin. Here, let's see, can you see that, or do I have to screen share? I can't hear you.
Trying to share a video or a picture, or
yes,
what is it? Video?
Do I do start video?
Yeah, yes.
Or screen share?
No, if you want video, then I can ask you to start video. You can start your video and show what's on your camera. Is that what you want to show, is your camera?
Yes. How about this? Can you see this?
Oh, now you've done screen sharing. We see your desktop and photo. We see a picture of something. Is that what you wanted to share?
Yes, it's a
okay,
sequence.
That's share screen. Yep.
Oh,
okay.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
So I'm working here with 3 vials, and then 1 test tube, and I'm putting them in. Let's see if I can get there. Sorry about this. There, I'm putting them in this configuration. So my 3 vials then have a slightly different proportions of GANs water and GANs in them. So if we look at this as 1, let's see, 1, 2, 3. This one would be about 3/5 full. 4/5 and then 5/5. And each one contains zinc oxide, CO2, and copper oxide with some GANs. If when I shake up my jar, it's probably about 1/10 GANs. And so what I put it in here, it's not a lot of GANs, but it is some GANs at the bottom of those three mixes. And I didn't bring my notes. I'm not at my house now. So it's probably zinc and CO2 is about 80% of it. And the CuO is only about 15 to 20%. And then the test tube has the same CuO and zinc relationship with about 3 drops of copper oxide. And then because I'm not trusting yet my CH3, what I used was CO2 hemoglobin, about 20% in the middle test tube. So if I go back, then those are the little vials. I'd say each vial has, the best I could figure it, has about 10 milliliters. I don't use those terms too well. Yeah, I think about 10 milliliters in it. And the test tube is maybe 30. And so then putting them together with hot glue right here and sealing them and then hanging them. So what I did is I hung these from the ceiling with a very fine fishing wire, about 8-pound test. So it's even if there's any wind or even if I walk through the room, they move. And so I wanted to show then a little picture here of them spinning. So what I can do by hand then is spin them. So this is a spinning. So it's very interesting to see, well, at least it's interesting to me to see how these spin, and they spin one way and then they spin the other. I kind of like that because it goes from one aspect of action and then it reverses. And because the wire is so fine, these things will spin for maybe almost 10 minutes. So these are now in the 4 corners. In the test tube, the mix is also slightly different. And so it's interesting. Can you see the, let's see,
Yeah, we can see it rotating there quite well.
Okay. So those are in the 4 corners. And now I want to go to the center one at the ceiling. And the one at the ceiling, I didn't want to be so long. So it's a little bit different. And it looks like this. So here, can we see this?
Yeah,
okay,
see it clearly.
So it's just a tetrahedron, 2.5 inches about long for each thing, and made of wood dowels. And then these plastic balls are then hot glued onto it. So they radiate from the center, then forming with each of the center of the balls would be again a pretty much a regular tetrahedron. And the 3 balls, these balls maybe hold maybe 50 milliliters. they're pretty small, but they hold a lot more than the vials. And again, then I have my mix, 3/5, 4/5, and what I'd call 5/5, with a similar mixture to the vials. And then the one at the top is a little bit more then that has CO2 hemoglobin with maybe just 3 to 5 drops of CO2, CuO. Just like to include a little bit of CuO just to neutralize anything. And of course, all of these have the amino acids of these ganses. So this then has a little bit of action. This one is sitting flat, and then here it's suspended from its little line. And here shows what happens when I spin it. Very slowly. And it's very sensitive in the middle of the room. Even when I walk through it, it changes. And then I'm trying to look here at the, as it spins, you can see the GANs mixes in. And I was thinking that it was significant possibly that it goes one way and the other, because we're going from a chaos to a stillness and then back to chaos and back and forth. And that has a certain dynamic in other situations that I'm familiar with, but I don't know that they extend to this. Okay, we don't need to see more there. Then this video, so what I do in the morning, or if I have something going on, because back behind this curtain here, I have about 3/4 of this room is my living room, and behind the curtain is a little healing room. So, but these are in the 4 corners. So in the morning, I go to each corner and spin each one of these little, what I would call reactors, of these little units. And so that one's spinning. And it goes from there, then over to the other corner, and it spins. I spin it. So each one I turn upside down. I shake it a little bit. Now, I've spun these before I started doing the video, so you see they're still spinning quite active. So I shake them up a little bit, and then I spin them, and I tell them good morning, or just to sort of activate them with my energetic. So this is just going around to the 4 corners where these little units are spinning. So that's the second one. And then we're coming back to the one in the center. If I can, so just bear with me. I could have probably made this quicker, but it's what I had right now and wasn't able to edit it. So this one comes back to the center one now, which is almost done spinning one direction, and we'll go back the other. And then the back corner. And it's spinning. That's the little healing unit I'm working with. And this is then the other corner. And this is around to the last one. And so in that one I can't spin, so I have to take it off the little hook, turn it upside down and rotate it a little bit, shake it up and put it back. So I'm wanting to work with the octahedron, and this is the one that the dodecahedron is the one I may want to make a 6-foot model in, so you can get inside of it. So very good. That's finishes that up. So essentially, that's, you know, what I have to share. Now, this room, it's pretty well insulated, and I find that I only need a little bit of a fire in my wood stove to keep it warm. I'm not sure how to see if this is actually how it's affecting the field or the energy inside, you know, whether it's, you know, balancing it off, whether it's creating a little bit of free plasma to be used however it is. But the little amount of wood that I'm having to use is significant, and we get down to about 10 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not sure what that is centigrade. But for much of January and February. And so any help in balancing off the heat and that in the room is very welcome. So Rick, that's all I have to share. I'm interested in comments and reflections. Interesting about this idea of the manual spinning or just them being free. I like the idea of them being free on top of this very thin line. It just makes any movement in the room.
Well, they get to find their own position that way, which is important, I think, and they're also sensitive to, like you say, even the air disturbances or generally the disturbances in the environment. I think it's a great idea that you have to go around in each corner of the room and in the center and do a manual rotating of these units. It's just that act of creating this ritual, you could say. It helps set your intention. Probably you have to, it's a deliberate, conscious action you have to do. That's not something out of our usual habits, let's say, of turning on the TV or turning on a light switch or whatever it is you do in life that's a usual habit. You have to consciously go to each corner of the room and this other thing and manually rotate these things. And just that simple action helps set the intent for that space. It becomes a conscious intent space, you could say, that you're creating the atmospheric condition and environment of that space. You're fine-tuning it yourself. You're putting your own stuff into it in a way to make it work for you. So I think that's a really cool idea. I can show a couple of videos that are in a similar vein that I've experimented with, and then maybe we can have some more comments about this general idea of self-rotating kind of machinery here. Let me show you an example of one of my units it's a similar idea in a way.
That's when it gets exciting.
Okay, so here we have it's basically the setup here is a sphere with GANs in it, with another ball inside of that with GANs in it. Got the whole thing rigged up to a piece of cord that's now wound up, and it's on the ceiling of my room. And the ball was maybe, the cord was probably, I don't know, 6 feet long or something like that, a couple of meters. And so I wound it up, so now it's only a few centimeters long. And let's play it out and see what happens here. Let me set up the live stream a little bit better here. And I'll just make this video a bit bigger as well so it comes through better.
Rick, what Ganses and Gans water do you have there inside your spheres?
A basic CO2 Gans water on the outside. CO2 with some zinc on the outside. And the inside ball, I think on this one was a CH3 Gans on the inside. Okay, so here we go.
Wow.
Now look what's happening. The ball has centered itself suddenly. The one inside. It's no longer at the top the way it was. Now it's gone back up to the top again.
That happens, I guess, when it's reversing. Huh? So
oh yeah, I forgot. This actually, there's 3 balls in this one. There's one ball that's just slightly smaller than the outside ball. You can see it's rotating there now. It's got a separate rotation inside. I forgot about that. So there's actually 3 balls here. Let me replay it and we'll just have another look at that. It's interesting the way you see the inside ball is at the top there right now. And it takes a while for its spin to get going because there's another ball around it. So there's like 3 balls happening here. 2 of them are transparent and 1 of the red one.
And they all have Gans water in them?
Yeah, and at a certain point, like the rotation of the outside ball, see at that point right there, there's a transition. I'll go back again and you can see we're all rotating the same direction. And then the outside ball, see the outside ball just changed direction, but the inside clear ball did not. So there you see the outside one here starting to rotate counterclockwise, but the inside one is still rotating clockwise. And that's given some kind of difference in the way the inside ball it starts to center itself rather than maybe it's just the, I don't know what it is exactly, because it stays centered even though the inside ball stopped, and then it finally comes up to the top. There you can see that inside ball and outside balls counter rotating there.
Yeah. So these balls they open up in the middle like a little spherical box or something. And did you just glue them, hot glue them, or
I used an epoxy on these ones to glue them together. And I had drilled a tiny little hole in each one and filled them up with the Gans and tried to keep the bubbles out, and then sealed the hole with a tiny bit of epoxy again. And then I had to sort of grind off the hole so that it was smooth and didn't rub on the inside with the other sphere and so on. But it's interesting, that whole
filled
thing.
them up with there's no air in there. Is there as little air as possible?
Right, yeah. Okay, so that's one. There's another one I tried with this same ball actually, but I motorized it. Let's have a look at that. Okay. Oops, wrong one. Oh, that's correct. Okay. There we go. So in this situation, I've got the same ball attached to a string. This time the string is attached to a drill. And actually not a drill, it's a motor with a drill chuck on it. I'm not sure if I show that here, but let's just play it through. I forget how it even turns out, this one. Whoops, was that it? What happened here? Okay, there we go. That was just the end of the video. Okay, I've got a motor combination here controlled by remote control. Turn that on. Turn this on. Okay, now we should be able to control the motor. Haven't tried this before. The motor is connected to a thread here. And the thread goes down to a 3-core reactor. It's got a CH3 based pink core, and there's another clear core around that that's almost the same size as this outer core. So there's actually 3 layers. Okay, so what I'm going to do is spin this up and just see what happens here. Try to get that much of the picture in. And if we need to get more of a close-up, we'll do that later. Okay. So far, so good. I'm going to give it a little bit of throttle. Oh, neat. Whoa. Isn't that interesting now? Battery went low. It's burned up. Yeah, that was kind of fun. Let that thing go. It's still centered and running good inside.
You know, Rick, if you had say you had another cord on that big ball that was just directly opposite on the bottom, and it was anchored to something on the floor, and you could then reverse the winds so that when one wound up, the other one unwound, you would hold it maybe more in the center. Might be very interesting to see how that would do. That would maybe take it away from the bouncing, and maybe the GANs inside might be a little happier.
That's an
Anyway,
interesting idea. Yeah, that's the thought. The other thing is too, the pendulum is an interesting idea actually, because now we have not only 3 cores rotating, which is one, they're all rotating around the same axis, but then if it starts moving like we saw with the pendulum effect, as we saw partway through here, that gives a whole different dimension to it actually. When you think about it, that's a whole different type of movement. And pendulums are used for various purposes, and one of them is to sense fields. So it's interesting that maybe there's a way to use this with the pendulum motion. Maybe it has some kind of, not when it's banging against the wall there, but if it was just able to be its pendulum, rotating around in a circle basically, rather than just back and forth like a normal pendulum. So it just introduces another form, another sort of axis of movement, another type of movement, which makes the fields interact differently. If it was, if that was the top reactor and it was in this pendulum kind of motion, it would have a totally different effect than something that was stationary.
Do you notice the 2 spikes on there too?
Yeah, there seems to be, I think there's an air bubble in there that the spikes formed on each side of, or at least some sort of bubble on each side of the ball there, which made it more difficult to get it centered. It won't center as easily with the vortex in there trying to pull at it all the time. But it's interesting, yeah.
But it's at the top and the bottom of that inner
Yeah,
sphere.
yeah, that happens sometimes with when there's a trapped bubble in there, and when it forms a column. Like normally the bubbles under gravity form a vortex column or a tube, if they're any size at all. This was mentioned recently by Jack in the private class, that he was able to get his bubble in the middle staying in the middle with his rotating reactor. Even though it was vertical, he was able to keep the bubble in the middle without it turning into a tube, but only when it was vibrating, when it was like oscillating really quite severely. And then if it's shaking that way, you can keep a bubble in the middle. Otherwise the bubble tends to turn into a tube due to the vortex action of the water and so on. Although I've noticed if you turn the whole thing sideways, then the tube becomes a bubble very easily, and that way you can actually control the bubble. You can keep it as a bubble instead of a tube, even at lower RPMs. And you can even have several bubbles that you can control at the same time, that way if it's sideways. But that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, what's interesting is it has a little bit of a planetary dynamic. One's spinning in relationship to another that's spinning in relationship to another, planetary or
yeah, the Caroline core.
Body.
Caroline core.
Except
in the very
of course
center.
They aren't tied to a cord. If you put a dot on each of the inner balls, you would be able to see what it's doing, because they also, the outer ball is spinning, of course, on an axis kind of, and then doing a pendulum, but the inside ones seem to be rotating in some sort of pattern in all the different directions.
Yeah, and actually, if you look at the string in this one, it's not centered at all. Whoops, you can see it as when it rotates. Let me give a better example here. That's not the example I thought. right there, for example. You can see there, see how the string is actually the loop and the string and the loop on the ball is actually about an inch or inch and a half variance there. It's not centered at all. It's rotating. The loop on the ball is rotating in a 1 to 1.5 inch circle, and it's almost like it nearly refuses to rotate straight up and down like we see here. As soon as it starts rotating, whoa, well, it's straight there, but after a bit, as soon as it starts wobbling a bit, there, right there, you start to see the variation, right? See the string starting to vibrate more and more. And there's a really wide vibration. So sometimes it's centered and sometimes it goes pretty wildly off center, actually. But the inside ball probably stays much more stationary in its place without doing weird stuff because it's isolated from the outside ball.
Kind of like the brain or the womb with the embryo.
Quite possibly, yes. Yes. Or an egg.
Got a dot in that inside ball.
Why we are always looking for physical movement?
Well, it keeps us entertained. Otherwise, we wouldn't have anything to look at.
Why? We learn a lot.
Hey. Say that again, Armin. I can barely hear you there.
You're saying you don't have better things to do.
Well, we're just discussing different. What brought this up was Nicholas was wanting to discuss rotating balls without having a motor source and without having a source of rotation, and wanted to discuss types of reactors that don't have motors. And then that became the one that he showed. I'm not sure if you were in here, Armin, when he showed his rotating reactors that are just held up by a fishing line, and you just manually twist them and they turn for 10 minutes in each direction. Did you see that or no?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So that's where it started from. But yes, so it's all about the fields and not the matter level stuff is your point, right?
Correct. We learned that the fields, slow down enough, now we converted the matter back to the fields. It means GANs. Now you create a condition with it, that you can start the rotation of the fields. Physical rotation, you can do it only upper reactor to just give a direction. To start with it.
That's really interesting to me, is to create the rotation, neither manually or, maybe reactor units within another unit or something, without, from the fields creating the rotation.
Manually, you are fortunate enough to have a matter in your hand, which you convert it into plasma. Now you can mix in a matter level.
Could you elaborate on that, what you're saying there?
I'm saying that we have already learned and passed the matter state. We convert it into the fields. We have CO2, we have copper oxide, we have zinc, we have CH3. We convert it all. But still we are looking for physical rotation of it. for confirmation. But to look different, what you can bring into the environment and how you can force it to rotate. Not force it, actually, it's not the correct word. How you can bring the fields that they can interact. How many layers you want to layer it. You have alkaline, you have acidic. What is alkaline? What is acidic?
You know, these little devices they've that can be made. So when the sun shines on them, they spin. Wondering whether, you know, if you had like a unit, something like that in your garden or your greenhouse, or, you know, where the sun comes and as the sun hits the reactor, it would begin its own movement. There's a, I mean, that has a thought in it that could be carried into an idea somehow, because the sun affects
a mechanical movement, though. Still just mechanical movement. Even that other contraption that you're talking about, I think it's a radioscope.
Sun and Earth. This is the sun. This is the Earth. Consider you're opening a plasma in the middle. So there are two plates. You both interact with the magnetic and gravitational field of the Earth and gravitational magnetic field of the sun. So the fields, they interact already because they are in a plasma condition. You opened up one step ahead. It's not a matter anymore. So you consider they interact. Mr. Keshe very nicely explained.
And they're definitely rotating and definitely traveling at high speeds. They've found particles traveling at actually like a quarter of the speed of light or something like that.
Interacting with each other.
Mm-hmm.
In a free state. Now you have a sun, which is in a more powerful magnetic and gravitational Earth. Nighttime, it absorbs the carbon. Daytime, it releases the oxygen. Imagine it's like a sponge. One pushes another pushes, and they are in the middle. Again, no matter state crosses the leaf. It's a field which is pushes and release the oxygen. We're not looking at the matter state, we're looking as a field. You have two magnets. One you push, the other one moves.
Yes, I'm just beginning to
think about it, because now you have all of it. So you have the spheres, you can load it. Even you have a one, you still load it. Different GANs, CO2, CH3, copper oxide. They still, by the field, they will arrange themselves. Remember always Mr. Keshe, turns the plasma this way and says, this is hydrogen, this is carbon, this is copper, this is zinc, gold. They, by the atomic mass, let me explain it that way, still they're going to rearrange themselves. So not talking in a matter state, I'm talking in fields. Dogs with dogs, dove with dove. It means copper with copper, CO2 with CO2, and CH3 with hydrogen, H in the middle. Because now you're using fields, not in a matter state. In the matter state, we're trying to do everything, but we see there is no effect. Why? Because we don't rearrange the fields the way, and understanding acidic and we call alkaline. We can create the movement with 4 reactors. This is your sun. This is the energy. These are your base reactors, but they still interact with the Earth magnetic gravitational field and on top with the sun. Load your reactors different, little bit. The bottom 3. Different, not the same. Position different fields from outside. You can rotate only top reactor. Bottom is the base. If you centralize this inside, it will be totally different. They are all connected, even without the rotation. Because they are in a plasma state. You opened up. We learned that already. We passed. Teach something new. Try something new. I wish I had your time, just, do my research.
the thing, Armin. We can talk forever and ever and ever, but if we never see or feel an effect, then it's all just talk. That's the problem.
No, it's not talk. You tried it. You already opened up. You have GANs. You have the amino.
That's why we work together, is that if you don't have time, you bring the ideas out. It
I don't have
stimulates
time.
us, but it stimulates us to do it. So we're all connected, and that's part of what we're developing, especially with each other, is, this connectivity. We call it the soul connecting in there, but these ideas you bring are just very intriguing to me, because one of the challenges is to think differently. So when at least for me, I have to continually sort of shift my mind to just comprehend, not just intellectually what's happening in these fields with the plasma. Because
play with magnets. Take two magnets. I played with magnets a lot. Even my young ages, I was breaking all my toys to get that magnets from the car motor.
Yeah, me too.
I enjoy the magnets, because in Russia at that time they were not selling that magnets. You can find it in the motors in the cars. So that was my joy, and I had so many. So try to play with the fields. You don't see them, but you can feel them. But you accept it already. This is a magnet. On a top reactor is your magnet of your Earth. It's iron. And it in a plasma condition. We learned it. All the time I start in conversation that we already understand that fields becomes a matter, and we converting it matter back to the fields. Now we change our thinking a little bit different. We learned that. We confirmed it. You measure nano-coated material, you see there is an interaction, meaning you can measure something. But you measure matter, there is none. So when you put that plate into the water with the matter, you measure a small voltage. And then there is an interaction between going two plates. You collect the GANs, you collect the amino acid, you see that you create the magnet of carbon, or magnet of the amino acid, which the oceans are doing. So you opened up the fields. You understood that you are creating something in there, or the material is releasing in atomic,
I have a question that I've been pondering. I don't know if it's the right time to bring it up, but at least maybe I could mention it. Would that be okay, Rick?
So, especially if it can be, if Armin can help us with an answer, maybe.
Well, I hope so. So, what I understand is that the sun is moving into what, now I just have to paraphrase it. I'm not an expert in this, but I've been in any way. But the sun is moving into what they call a grand solar minimum. So it seems to be very few sunspots and very little activity on it. And moving into that is causing a lot of observable, an increase in observable phenomenon on the Earth that could be connected to the sun activity, more weather, more earthquakes, volcanic activity, and whatnot. And when I listen to some of those that have discussed it, of course, they're not talking about plasma. So at the heart of the activity of the sun and the earth, this must be having a plasma field activity. And I was just wondering if you're familiar with that, Alman, and what is actually going on there.
I am sorry, I dropped out, and I just in probably 2 minutes, I'm just listening to your conversation, so I cannot understand your question. What is it, what you're asking for?
I understand from some of the scientists or some of the people I'm listening to that we're moving into, or the sun is moving into what we would call a grand solar minimum. Very little sunspots, and the activity is changing significantly. And the observable phenomena seems to be an increase in weather, increase in...
Because look, I will explain you simply that you understand. See, everything is in your hand. You have to just understand what I'm going to explain to you. I cannot clear this up. Huh?
Can, Norman.
Can you do this?
There we go. Do you want a whiteboard?
I see the hand above is in the middle of this.
Look. What I'm going to explain to you, and I want you to understand, and I want you to try it at home. This is simply to just put you in the right direction. You have a copper. You nano-coated it. Now the plasma is outside, matter is inside. Before, the plasma was inside, the matter was outside. Meaning, I'll explain you, meaning the fields of the matter, they interact with each other, all of them. But it sits inside. A minute you nano-coat, now the field sits outside, matter sits inside. Look, when you try to nano-coat and then measure only from nano-coated part and cut this part, then measure exactly from the middle part of the metal. And one anode is here, one is here now. Not you measuring the nano-coated part, just measuring the matter part. You will see your voltage will jump 10 times more, 100 times more. Why? Can you explain?
I guess the term superconductor, but it's allowing the current to flow without resistance, but that's not a very scientific explanation.
No, because all the nano-coated energies which you were measuring over here, let's say 0.0, let's say 1, even to 1. Now, when you measure this, it will go up to half a volt, maybe more. Because all this interaction, the energy you are collecting from the middle part, which is the strongest part, because it absorbs, look, always higher gives to lower matter. So now you're measuring the totality. And from the middle, that's why it's higher. This is the Earth. The middle part is equator. The fields are over here stronger than the out part. So the concentration in here in equator is more higher. That's why you see all the vegetation grows whole year in here. And here we have winter, we have cold, we have autumn, all 4 seasons. It's the same as this nano-coated measuring copper. So why I'm explaining you this, next step, you understand, now this is alive now. Now you connect in a box. So you're creating GANs out of the interaction. You're releasing the matter into the plasma condition. Individual particles. You just created energy, the flow. If you put the matter in matter, nothing gonna happen. Nada, because it's no interaction. It's a balanced field. I'm just trying to explain from the beginning that you understand, you grasp that now you have fields. How are you going to use it? How you create the rotation? Put top reactor, copper, bottom reactor, put zinc GANs. Or put one on the side and another. Load 2 balls. Or just put a little bit CO2 here and a little bit copper oxide in here. Even you have your CO2 box. You create the condition to bring the fields in. What do you use? Salt. What's in our oceans? Salt. How come our Earth is rotating? Iron is magnet of our Earth. Oxygen is magnet of our atmosphere. Carbon is magnet from the universe. The fields comes in. You have iron. Think one step ahead. We absorb the energy, our body. Our body's salinity is different than the plant. We still hang on nano coating, we still hang on GANs making, we're not moving one step ahead. Trying to rotate, they are already connected. As your physical confirmation, just rotate top reactor only. Don't need to rotate the rest. Sometimes when we create our nano-coated box, GANs making box, we see the fields, how they structure together, like this. In a rotational move. This mostly happens when you have another box nearby. Accidentally, you put a nano-coated this part facing and not nano-coated here facing. You still have your containers here. This is CH3 box. Try to put the zinc mesh in here and nano-coated, let's say, CO2 box. Put one upper part. Put CH3 upper. That's the magnet of your Earth. It interacts, huh? You need to start the pull. I can talk a lot, but the point is, you guys are free to do your tests. Do it right. Think one step ahead. You have now fields. Forget about nano coating, this and that. You already did that. Even your balls are not nano coating. You put the already plasma inside. The fields are here. You free them. They're in 360 degrees. We're talking about it, but we're not trying it. Centralize this ball inside. And load it different, of the same. More potent, more lighter. Or more potent, more lighter. Why? Because they will start to interact. Higher fits the lower. So you start the rotation. Sun always fits our Earth. Our Earth fits Sun too. That's why they interact. In the middle, you see the light. Everybody trying, and I'm listening sometimes, even the teachings. And then I see, people not thinking the way, in a plasma state. They thinking still in a matter, and they cannot cross that line to do the testing differently to understand. They have fields. They are fortunate enough, again, that you have matters, you can convert to fields, then you can mix the fields as many as you want. Let's say in universe, you have to create the condition and wait until the fields are created. Now you have hundreds of different package fields, gold, iron, silver, plutonium, platinum, everything. The packages of the fields, higher, lower. Try rotate one ball, leave it the other stationary. But centralize inside the ball. Second ball, centralize it. Put it in a pin that it can be in the center. Everybody trying, they're getting aggravated, but they don't want to pay attention and understand.
So help us out here. How would you rotate the inner ball without rotating the outer ball? And how's that dynamic seen in the universe?
You're using fields now. You can
We're
start
having to create the fields out.
You can start. I just explained, and it just zoom, it's gone. You have an iron, CH3. It's a magnet of your Earth. You have an oxygen. It's a magnet of the atmosphere. It's a carbon magnet of universal fields to connect the rest. You have all three magnets. Position it. Don't forget alkaline and acidic. What is alkaline? So the topper bowl is acidic. Alkaline, it's takers. They're takers. Acidic, it's a giver.
So that would be CH3 is the taker then.
No. Only hydrogen is a giver. It's an energy source. Do you understand how you created the hydrogen? Why you think that it's an hydrogen? How you can calculate to understand? We calculated, we understood the CO2, but why the interaction of the zinc, mesh with the iron and a nano-coated plate of copper, it creates a condition of hydrogen. Why we call it CH3? Do we understand even that? Or no?
No, be honest, no.
We have to. Then we are in a first class again. Let me explain. Can I have a sheet, please? Or I can break. What's iron? 56. Correct? Break.
You're right there, yes.
When we create nano coating, we consider is 5% less of its atomic weight. It's 59, more or less. we know that interaction with zinc and copper, we create carbon. And then it's another layer, which is iron. Interaction with copper, field of deuterium. Iron is the magnet of this earth. The seed of this earth is iron. The magnet meaning it brings in, huh? You have oxygen, you have carbon. We have to understand what condition we create and what we are absorbing as a field. What kind of field we are creating. Magnet for that material. Meaning if you create a field of hydrogen, it will bring it in. Because we know salt water we have, and we have the amino acid right on top. The layer, fine layer. This amino acid in hydrogen, which you create, an amino acid of carbon is different. It's different salinity. You have carbon, you have hydrogen, you have oxygen, and you have nitrogen. CO2 box, you have carbon. This box, you have hydrogen and a carbon. What if you put only iron without the C? What if you extract the carbon when you have your CH3? You have to create the outside condition that you can extract it. That there is a match. So you have fields now. You can absorb or you can add. If I put another field here, more higher, what I will do? I will push this field in here. Like Earth. When the sun is not there, its magnetic field, it pushes up. Allows the carbon to be absorbed. When another higher field from upper comes, so the magnetic field goes lower. So now this one is active. Now more higher oxygen release. It's a field interaction. Which one pushes more? Because it's available or it's not available. I explained it's like a sponge. But this field don't stay in here, it pushes up. So they interact, so they all move up. Then you will see the physical conformation, whatever you're looking for, the rotation. I don't know how else I can explain. The only thing I can do, just I'm just going to leave what I'm doing and move to lab that we can bring more.
Rick, are you seeing images? Because we've got a congealed image, or at least I have. All the writings Armand has been doing for the last 3 or 4 minutes, I can't see them. I can only see the
Did you see it? What about this ones? Did you see this ones?
Yes, a blue. Exactly, yes. But we missed about 3 or 4 minutes of all the clicking.
Armin likes to click. He might not be drawing anything.
I am doing other things. No. I'm clicking for you guys. Not for myself.
Well, that's a lot to contemplate. And what I'm thinking is better.
Now you have fields. Play with the fields. Now you have amino acid. Now you have field. You wanna, be connected. Anyway, it's connected with amino acid. How about? Oh, there's so much. See, this is that, like, you want to go to next step and explain next step, but just this is important that everybody understands. Otherwise, everybody will wait. Somebody will do something and they just copy it. No, you do it. You have it already. All the fields, again, you are so fortunate. We are so fortunate. Again, we are having matter in our hands and we can release it as a field and we can use it as a field and we can mix it as a field. We can extract it. We can put it in. It's a field. Like you have a water, different colors of water. You can now mix it. Blue with green, green with blue, or all the colors together, or this color with another. I'm talking the color as a field packages. Still bringing a map that you can visualize what you can do. But you believe the magnet that you are holding, there is some fields in there. I'm pushing it and it's moving another, and we call it magnet. Now we don't see that field and we know we released it. Now they are in a free state. So how we can bring it together? How we can create an interaction? We know higher, we know lower. Highest always give the lowest. I'm here. Go to. I'll be back in 5 minutes, guys. I have.
Okay, I can share this picture. Interact of nanocopper and zinc and iron. How to interact? Armin just explained. So, okay. This is about explain how nanocopper interact with nanocopper and iron. nano-coat iron. It's different of the no when the make field of carbon. Usually we use copper and zinc. In this way, it's copper nano copper, and when you have only iron, it's different of 6 field of carbon. When you nano cover iron, it's H3. Another in right side, it's zinc nanocopper and iron. Yes, that's no more. Yes, how much I have a field of carbon, field of CH3. What gas it's in the bottom? Okay. Yes. Uh, I think it's possible considering oxide of iron or oxide of anything metal obtained, like a piece of matter, but another strength field. When you have zinc, you have for example, strength of 1. When you have oxide of zinc, you have another field because you add a field of oxygen. When you have a zinc.
No.
Okay.
No.
I wait the explanation for understanding better. Take my take down this picture.
Armin, or do you want to start a new whiteboard? You want to annotate?
Yeah.
Okay.
What happened? It went away. Did you want to annotate on that picture, Armin, or on the whiteboard?
Yes, on that picture.
Okay, can you bring the picture back up?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I mute my microphone for now.
Guys, any interaction, it depends what kind of field package you are putting in. Which one is higher? 56 and zinc 62. You put this one in a matter state. Let me annotate here. still you have a zinc field or copper field. Different packages. And out of their interaction, you create a carbon. This is copper. Oxygen, it's because it's available in your box. It attaches to oxygen and it's here. What you did, your GANs have a center now. As a field. We call it this carbon. We call it CO2. You bring on top carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen. You already have your connection with nitrogen. You have a condition to create carbon. In this environment, anything is in a plasma state, so you have oxygen too. What is your water? H2O. What is the matters that you are using? You're not looking even what is the composition of it. Your nanocoating, your box is now in a plasma conditioner. So matter that this box is made of is carbon and hydrogen. So in this box, look how many materials you have. You have carbon, hydrogen, you have H2O, you have nitrogen connection, you have zinc, you have copper. Because this is your condition. The box is the condition because now you're opening up a field. Whatever in that environment, that fields will carry it. Even when you nanocode this, what you have in your box, still that nanocoating that you created on top will carry the field of in his whatever was in his environment a minute it being created, a minute it opened up. Any life form which on this planet carries all the fields what this planet and even universe have. but we create it on this planet, so we carry every single matter in a molecular structure in our body. Iron, zinc, copper, uranium, anything, gold, whatever you think, in different proportions. Because we are created in this environment. So now, same thing is in your box. Consider whatever you're going to add, you're going to carry that field.
My question era when you change, no, I use iron, not copper. I change the condition environment in this box. No, I have zinc nanocoat. Okay, I have amino acid in top. I have pure, no pure.
No, still you have, look, still you have iron and still you have copper. Don't forget. But yes, now iron is in a plasmatic condition and copper is in a matter condition.
When you have matter, you carry many strain of any type of field, no? Totality field. But I try when you added matter, this plate, it depends on plate of matter when you put in, you change the condition. You have a strength of copper. You maybe for this interactive you have a structure of diamond, or you have a structure of no in matter level, in field, in plasma level. My question is, what's happened when you use iron and not copper? How matter instead matter and nanocoat this matter?
Okay, I don't understand the question. Meaning iron is nano-coated and copper is not nano-coated, or you don't have a copper?
I don't have nano-copper in the right box.
But you have a copper.
Like a field. In this box in right, I don't have copper in matter state or nano. Make this reactor, no?
You have a zinc. You have a zinc.
When you have a zinc added or taken, you obtain copper, right? Field of copper.
I don't understand what you're saying, truly.
I know.
That when you nanocoat zinc, you get copper, the field of copper. Is that what you said?
No. I don't obtain this field. I use in this reactor iron, zinc nanocoater and iron. I want to understand how change condition, what field obtain, between these two plates. First, this is in reactor of steaming, in hot caustic, no? When make your nano copper, when you cover your piece in hydroxide oxide, when you put a chicken mesh in bottom, you have zinc zinc or iron galvanizate. But I use iron and not galvanized thing. I change condition. When you use only iron, it's It's one thing. When you use copper, it's another thing. When you use zinc or galvanized, obtain another condition, another interaction of field. For me, I want to understand how paths of matter of field interact of field for create gas, matter, or principal plasma, no field interact of two field. Sure. Say.
I am very sorry. I could not understand your question to answer it properly.
Yeah, I don't understand either. You're saying you want to know what the result's supposed to be between this nano-coated zinc and iron plate? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. This is a question.
And then you want to know about the nano-coated copper and the iron.
Yes,
which we've been told about that was the sort of the old technique of making iron GaNs, but it's not correct because it ends up with too much of the matter level iron in the situation. So now we use the zinc coated iron, like you were saying, the screen or something, a galvanized iron, to create the fields. So it's a field GaNs that's created rather than the matter level. So that takes care of that one. The other one, the zinc and the iron, I'm not sure. I don't know. I can't remember if is that the technique for CH4 perhaps? Was that CH? No, that was
Zinc is 65. Deduct 5%. It's going to be what? 62?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
60, where is going to be 62 or 60?
62 if it was 5% of 60 is 3. But if it was 5 points off of it, that would be different, of course. But yeah, 5% is about 3 off of 65, which would be 62. Roughly.
Minus 56.
I think you said the iron was nano-coated. You're still there, Armin?
Zinc is nano-coated.
Zinc, but he also, I think, says Fe n equals 53. I think he means that to be a nano-coated as well. Is that right?
I make the two conditions. One, when it's iron not nano cover, it's 60.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Next step is when you have a zinc nano cover, nano and iron nano cover. Two conditions: first and after. After you make hydroxide of natrium sodium, no? Two reactors. One
Right. Okay.
zinc nano iron, second zinc nano and iron nano. For understanding how to create this condition, because when you make a box for nano coating,
Still, okay. If it's nano both, still you carry the field of zinc and carry the field of iron.
a different level of strength.
Yeah, in more higher level. Still you create the field of whatever condition you are creating. If I put zinc, let's say, nano-coated and copper nano-coated, still I have interaction. Still I'm going to create carbon.
Yes, I agree. But for my understanding, it's you create a field of carbon with another element. I use copper because my body, no, my structure of Magrav system, I have GANs between me. It's a part of this field of copper, of carbon, because I have amino acid. Every being in this earth is composed of field of interact of amino acid, and when you use another materials or another fields, no, I have carbon, a field of carbon obtained in different way, different strength, different
Correct.
modality for obtain.
Different strength.
Okay. This is proper for understanding. I'm sorry.
And just understand, if this salinity of here is 4% and the other box is 6%, and even you create a carbon in both boxes, but it's going to be different strength. I want you to understand that.
Like a carbon rod and leaf of plant, or another copper nano.
No, they are different salinity.
Exactly the same two boxes, but except the salt concentration is different, right, Armin? That's what you mean?
Yes.
Right, and then you'll have like essentially different isotopes of carbon, different heaviness, different strength, field strength.
Field strength of carbon.
Same matter, but you change your environment. In this case, from salinity.
Yeah. Salt is always connection with the nitrogen. Huh?
It's for understanding how much transform carbon as azote, nitrogen, and oxygen in this environment.
You have already water, you have oxygen.
Yes, in matter state and in gas state.
In gas state, because it's in a plasma.
Yes.
So that's why you bring the amino acid, You have every condition to bring the amino acid in. Our oceans, they do the same.
Because I see another way, like a fish in a tank in my room, in my house, in my town, It's another way of looking this. First, when you talking for how to make photosynthesis in elementary school, I learned one thing. Now in technology, in this technology, I see with another eyes. I understand in different way.
Okay, let me explain you different. Different salinity is different alkaliness or acidity. Depends which point you are looking for. If this is 4% or 10%, which one you think is going to be more acidic and which one is going to be more alkaline if you measure the you know, acidity and alkalineness. Test it. You have a tester.
Okay, I'm sorry for bothering, but thank you very much for your explain and because I understand better how and why uh, make this field and different strain. Thank you very much for explanation.
You more of a. I add one more thing. Your salt water, which we are throwing out, it's full of fields. We never look at that.
Like a water sea or ocean sea contain
No,
totality.
just
Totality.
let me tell you this way. If you take this salt water and don't throw it away, just dilute it in water. Test the alkalineness in this one, which was more solidity, and the one that you diluted.
Like a washing guns, no? When you have
Yeah,
a
when you wash
PPM.
the gas, don't throw that water. First water, when you dump it, try to make different strength.
Yes.
And we just don't think, and we do things, and we never pay attention. We think somebody is doing, and he's an important, and I mean, he's saying it, so that's the way it's going to be. We're throwing away higher fields and keeping lower.
Thank you, Armin. Did you wanted to stop sharing the whiteboard there? Is that right? You're done for that part?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You make patches.
Make patches? Sorry?
No, we make patches. Everybody make patches. They washed the gas 10 times and then they used it.
So you're saying people should use the water before it gets totally washed out with it still has the salt in it because it has. Pardon me. Sorry, I interrupted.
Every salinity has different acidity or different alkalineness. Guys, think.
Like a cell in my body, you know.
Don't just wait until somebody say, "Oh, rest is what we tried." We learned all of this. We passed this. We just do because we've been said this is the way it is. Look your nature how it does.
Armin, I have a question. Can I please?
Okay.
Here's Jalal. To increase the pushing in the fields, we use the magnetic fields.
Every single gas, water, or sphere that you are making and holding, they have both fields, magnetic and gravitation. If we learn at school that the proton have plus and electron is minus, and we cannot just cross that barrier and understand the proton have the same plus and minus than electron, because they are the same. So of the mass, they just position themselves. One mass is bigger, another one is smaller. There's no difference. So consider that ball have both plus and minus. The strength, it's important. It's a taker or it's giver. You create a condition to take or to give. I just explained you acidic and alkaline. Acidic, it's giver. Alkaline, it's taker. Why you don't create a patch with the salt water? Don't throw that salt water away. Collect it from different boxes, different salinity, different strength. Try to play with the fields now. Make 3 patches, make 6 patches. Bring in another patch. You have the CO2, bring on top another patch. Bring CH3 or bring copper oxide. You see which one is a giver and which one is a taker. You have a pain. Your body is different salinity. So you have a match there. You have to cross that barrier that you understand field interaction. Not matter. Then you will see how the fields are rotating.
In the case, Armin, in the case of the salt water, and you were mentioning that there's more field interaction and so on. Is that not what, in a way, what we're trying to get rid of by diluting the salt water and making it more and more pure distilled water and GANs? and that way the fields of the GANs can open up because they maybe have more elbow room. There's less other fields interacting, so that the fields of the GANs can be expressed better than inside the salt water. What do you think about that? Or is there some magic combination that's in between, perhaps?
No. Look, what your Earth is doing? It has its salt all around it. Huh? All the oceans, they have a salt water. Why they bring amino acid in? So of the condition of the salt. You have your plates, it's your mountains, it's your everything what's surrounding the oceans. You have another plates, Earth, magnetic and gravitational field, and sun. What you're gonna bring it in? What you have available in some oceans, you can see, let's say in Bari, I was there in the ocean when we were going to the beach. And some parts, it's yellow, reddish water. It's from underground, it's going to the ocean. And it's full of fish. In that area. And you can see it's iron, it's still going to the ocean. So when you have amino acid, which is on top of the ocean, so it is up, huh? Washing machine, huh? That's why you have life, creation of the life. Now, amino acid production of metals that's available in that territory, in that condition, so the animal life is there. I told you, different salinity, different metals. When you create a patch, you create a condition on top of your skin, which the patch is, your hand is between two patches. One is different than another one. Stop doing what you're doing. You have all the GANs you created. Try to play with it. Test the water of your salt water, alkalineness or acidic, and test the water of pure water. It's 7. It's going to be. So see what is the difference between one and another. I'm telling you guys, I wish I have a free time, and oh my God, I will not get out from the lab.
It would be great to see, Armin, to see you back in the lab for a bit, if not for a long time. see if we can get some more results happening. But you're a busy lad. You have you're creating results in the lab of the world right now, using your own GANs as a mechanism.
Mr. Keshe, keep me busy.
Yes, he'll keep anyone who's willing busy, I think. It's just it's hard to find the ones that are willing. Not enough of them. Never is. But it's good. It's expanding all the time. There's a lot more going on in the background. Armin could talk for hours about that, but then we'd have to shoot him because he'd be giving us we'd have to shoot each other because we'd all have too much information.
You all have too much information.
We already have too much, yes. We're overwhelmed with information. That's the whole issue, actually. It's trying to sort it out into something to simplify, like you're doing earlier, Armin, to try to bring clarity and simplification to the issues.
Please, guys, do understand a little bit more. Go listen the workshops. Try to understand more. Try to listen maybe 3 times, and third time you will have different message. Because you all done it, you all doing it, not getting nowhere, and I'm very surprised and upset. How come? Why we are still in nano-coating and in gas making? You know that. Now let's use the field. Try not to complicate yourself and make 10 different gases. You have already the fields. Already different gases. Use that.
Okay, well, thank you for those words of guidance, Armin. Is there any other questions while we have Armin on the line here?
No more questions.
No more questions. All right, give Armin a break.
A lot to play. Actually, just do it. That's it.
Yes, I think we probably had enough. In fact, we've gone for almost 4 hours. Pardon me, Armin? Sorry.
Have a wonderful day. I'm going to sleep. I'm tired. I have to wake up early. Thank you, guys.
Very good. Thanks for dropping in, Armin. Appreciate it very, very much. Excellent. Well, on that note, it might be a good time to wrap it up here, unless there's any other comments or questions about anything that people want to bring up. We're almost 4 hours into it here, and certainly you have enough to go off of, and maybe we can attack our experiments with a new with new eyes and with new ears. Okay, well, by the stunned silence, I think that I must be correct that it's time to wrap things up. Alper says, wake up well is the key. Wake up well, people, peeps. Wake up well. Okay, that sounds good. We might have to rest first. It's not a bad idea. Okay, I think we're going to wrap things up here then. So thanks everybody once again for attending the Keshe Plasma Reactor Group for Tuesday. It's now Wednesday, February 28th, 2018. 02282018. And good day, good night, good morning. Good
I would like to
universe
say
to you.
only to Armin, he earned the 500 plasma.
He gets an extra 500 plasma tonight, you mean?
Yeah, he earned it today.
Okay, we'll make sure that gets right into his plasma account. And you know what? That might be the way the currency of the future goes. It's basically, if you're here to be of service to others and have moved them enough that they think that you're worth something from that interchange, then you move that. I move that Armin gets an extra 500 tonight for his service to mankind. I second it, I second it. Okay, it's done. What could be simpler? Next. So thank you everybody for your contributions tonight, and we'll try to make sure you get some plasma coin out there into your account from your contributions. And those who are accepting plasma coin, I hope you get enough to continue your experiments and your concepts, and end up giving out some of that plasma coin to others. Otherwise known as love. Yes, Alper, thank you. That is the currency of the future. Love is the currency of the future, is what I've come to conclude from all this Bitcoin stuff. But enough about that. Let's wrap it up for now. I'm getting a little giddy here. Okay, I'll end the live stream for now. And we'll see you next time around. And don't forget the Knowledge Seekers Workshop coming up on Thursday. Should be quite a power-packed show, I think. We got a few special things going on, and it should be lots of fun. Okay, bye for now.